And we are live. Welcome back to the show. The banter bus rolls on, or it does for Tusk. I'm sitting with my dick in my hand in London. And Tusk is sitting with his dick in his hand, surprisingly, in Warsaw, which I thought you were leaving today. So what happened?
Strange regulations with the Polish authorities. You have to be on a special list to fly direct from Warsaw to Poland. Absolute nonsense, political bullshit gone crazy. So instead, I'm back here for another day, a stay of execution, and then I'll fly with my tail firmly between my legs at 6 a.m. tomorrow, graveyard shift flight to Frankfurt, and then head off to Frankfurt to St. Petersburg. But
Frankfurt.
I mean, with this lounge life thing that we do with these lounge passes, actually, you know, I've said it before, but I really don't mind a full day of traveling, because what it essentially do is I'm far more productive actually when I'm traveling work wise than when I'm sat with my dick in my hand, existential angsting with you. Because you know you've got
anything's more productive than that.
That's true, but you've got in the lounge thing. You've got a lounge pass, so you've got good Wi-Fi, you've got free food, free drinks, somewhere nice to sit. It actually makes traveling a bit of a pleasure and a productive pleasure. So
yeah,
I'm more than happy to do kind of changeover flights. It's just a bit of an annoyance because I had to then, it's stressful to fly. Usually, you just like, oh, for fuck's sake, when you're there. But it's that Amor Fatty thing, that Jocko Willing good mindset of now, actually, I've come back and I'm able to have basically a day of pretty hardcore admin, bit of life admin that I've got to catch up on. So really no bad thing, really, overall, when you actually just contextualize it.
It's just part of the slings and arrows of this particular lifestyle, isn't it? This traveling lifestyle. And actually, when you think about it, we've been relatively lucky with rules and regulations of getting into countries, because I was talking to my dear old mother the other day, and she was saying, well, have you had problems with all the tests and everything? And I was like, well, not really. I mean, it's another thing to worry about, but all you've got to do is just do your research beforehand, find out what the country requires, get it done, and get on the plane. It's not actually that hard, is it? So
no, and COVID has now allowed you basically to travel and completely risk-free, because you can have a flexible ticket, which usually costs about $5 extra, and you get a room on booking.com, a hotel, you pay an extra $5 for flexible booking, free cancellation at any time. You can literally cancel the flight 1 minute before you're due to be on board, and you get a full refund, or you can change it. You can literally cancel the booking.com accommodation at any time leading up to it. So essentially it's just a free shot. You can just do what you fucking want, with no repercussions financially, and it really doesn't matter. So again, just an extra incentive for guys to get their dicks out of their hand and just get out and
exactly.
Just get on with it, really.
Exactly. And before we kick off with the topic today, it's worth mentioning again that we are planning to do an impromptu event in Warsaw next weekend.
Yes. Yeah.
Thursday till Sunday.
Thursday to Sunday, 5 hours a day. For 4 days. It's a great place to be doing this stuff.
Safe pair of hands.
It's a safe pair of hands. The women are feminine. They speak good English. They like foreign men. I mean, it's teeming with women here. It's just a really cool city. I can't see why guys, if they are wanting that boost, wouldn't consider Poland. And obviously after that, if that's not viable, we still have one space left for Berlin, which is basically the Amsterdam of Germany, isn't it?
Yes.
That and Hamburg are kind of on par as the kind of, I always slag off Germany as a place not to go. That being said, Munich during Oktoberfest, Cologne during Carnival, and then Berlin and Hamburg all the time are exceptions to the German rule of boring, women who aren't interested. So a very sexually liberated place. When you've got a place with a lot of sex clubs and that kind of debaucherous atmosphere, lo and behold, day game and dating becomes a lot easier, because it just is part of the fabric of the air. That'll be great. And that's the following weekend. So we've got 2nd to the 5th this weekend, Warsaw, and then 9th to the 12th, we've got Berlin. So get in touch, send Troy or myself an email if you're keen for either of those.
Absolutely. Troy at realtroyfrancis.com. You can get in touch with me.
And info@jamestusk.com if you want to get in touch with me. Include your WhatsApp number, because what we do is we jump on a call with you and actually kind of assess where you're at with all this stuff, because it may not be the best option. It may be some sort of WhatsApp mentoring. It may be coming out to South America. So just get in touch, include your WhatsApp number. We'll have a chin wag. There's no charge for that. And just figure it out from there, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the thing. We try to be consultative with this. So we're not if you're not the right fit at the moment for, say, a boot camp experience, then we will put you in something else. We're not trying to just randomly pull anybody in who isn't the right fit. Obviously, you've got to be at a certain point and so on and so forth. And we can assess that best when we get on a call with you.
Yes, absolutely.
So without further ado, let's move on to the topic of du jour, which is a gentleman that this is an open invitation to this particular gentleman to come along for training with Tusk and Troy. In fact, if you're available next weekend, you can come to Warsaw. There's still availability there. And the weekend afterwards, you can come along to Berlin, because this is a guy who we believe is really in the target audience for this kind of training. And we feel that we can genuinely really help him out at this point in his life. So shall I just explain to the guys what this is all about?
Yeah, explain it in detail and then play the video.
Okay. All right, cool. So look, we are addressing today's stream to a gentleman called Michael Gove, who is a senior member of Parliament in the United Kingdom. He's been in politics for a long time. He was a Oxford educated chap in cahoots with Boris Johnson. He's also a journalist, very, very senior member of the establishment. He's basically one of the top guys in the cabinet in the UK at the moment. Very instrumental throughout the whole COVID situation. They talked about the big four, which were Boris Johnson, Michael Gove, Rishi Sunak, and Matt Hancock. Matt Hancock was the dude who was getting his end away with a member of his staff, and he got ousted. But Michael Gove, really one of the key people in British politics today, second only really to Boris Johnson. And the word on the street is, if Boris ever gets ousted, which may happen at some point, then Michael Gove is very much in the frame to be the next Prime Minister. So very, very senior guy in British politics. Now, unfortunately,
I'm just asking because, I was changing your reservation, and then
I'm just going to mute James because there's some kind of weird argument going on in the background there with the staff by the sounds of things. Okay, so unfortunately, earlier this year, Michael Gove divorced his wife, Sarah Vine. So you can see this article here, which explains this. Michael Gove and Sarah Vine to divorce after drifting apart. So he was married to this lady, Sarah Vine. They were married for over 20 years. She's a senior journalist in the UK, again, very prominent in her own right. This article came out on the 2nd of July, so this is fairly recent. In a joint statement released on Friday, the couple said they remain close friends, but would continue supporting their two children and wanted privacy and would not be commenting further. Gove, who is also Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster, and Vine, a Daily Mail columnist, met in 1999 and married in 2001. A friend of the high-profile couple told PA Media they had drifted apart over the last couple of years, but it was an entirely amicable split and there was no one else involved. Okay, and then it goes on to talk about the fact that Sarah Vine is a good friend, is godmother to one of David and Samantha Cameron's children. She wrote about Matt Hancock's resignation and how that was just a terrible shit show, which it obviously was, etc., etc., etc. So yeah, sadly, Mr. Gove's marriage has come to an end. Now, Michael Gove is not that old. He is, I think, 53 years old. So he's not, not the youngest rooster on the block, but also not old. So he's very much in the sort of target audience that we have for dating coaching. And this is a guy who obviously after 20 years, 2 decades of marriage, got a couple of kids. He's now out and about on the market. And I'm now going to show you a video, and this is going to demonstrate how clearly this is a guy who is up for, a bit of fun. He's up for, he's been married, he's done the whole, provider thing, and now he's looking to have a little bit of fun, because this video has just come out in the press. I think this just came out yesterday. And this shows what's been going on. So I just pulled this up. The other night. So basically what happened was Michael Gove went to a nightclub in Aberdeen and tried to blag his way in. He was saying to the guys, listen, I'm a senior MP, you should let me in for free. They said no dice and they charged him to get in. And then he basically he went downstairs. It was actually an O'Neill's pub, which is on the lower, if people are British watching this, it's on the lower end of the scale in terms of night spots in this country. But there was the pub upstairs, and then downstairs they were doing a drum and bass night. So have a look at this. Oh, actually, as well, let's just make sure, because we need the sound on this. So let me just make sure the sound is available. Share audio. Okay. Sorry, I'm messing this up, dudes.
It's all right.
Bear with me. The technicalities.
Drama.
The technicalities. There were no stream would be complete without a bit of a technical fuck up, but here we go. Right, this is it. So let's have a look at what happened. So this is Michael Gove, 53-year-old senior cabinet minister, partying in Aberdeen. Look at him. Look at him go. Look at those moves. He's rocking it. Etc., etc., etc. So, look, what do you make of that, James? Because clearly, here's a guy. He's in his 50s. He's been released from, the slings and arrows of marriage. He's now a single man. He's out and about. He likes a bit of drum and bass. He likes to party. What would you say to a guy in that position? What do you think Michael should do now in order to, improve his life, improve maybe his prospects in terms of romance, love, etc., etc.?
Yeah, I mean, he's got better shapes than me, so I'd actually be requesting dance lessons from him first and foremost. But I mean, on a serious note, first of all, get out of Aberdeen, because that is not a hotspot of decent-looking birds. We just worked with a guy who's got his shit together, quite an intelligent guy, well put together. To be fair, Gove has been to a degree in the fact he dresses pretty similar. And obviously, he's got a brain to be able to rise to the top, in a political sense. So this guy was actually a lot older than Michael. We'll call him Mr. R, but he was 63, very dapper man. He was going on dates with 21-year-olds in Helsinki. And how did he do it? Did he do it hanging out in dodgy dance floors, with a glowing disco ball? No. He got out on the streets and he got talking to girls in various environments, didn't he? And he was on a date every single day. So, I mean, The obvious thing to say is, get out and actually have some sober conversations. Learn to do this. Learn to cold approach, which, as we've been banging the drum for a while, is not weird. It's not pick-uppy. It's basically having the same emotional and social intelligence levels as the opposite sex, the fairer sex, right? Who are very socially switched on. You can argue as to your blue in the face about why that is. It's not really important. The fact is they are. So what we're trying to teach guys is essentially their ability to increase their EQ levels, which shows to some, I mean, I haven't got the studies down, but a number of studies have shown that's a far more important predeterminant of success in a business sense than IQ. So much so that a number of kind of top US and Canadian universities have actually started to teach it as a course, which I think is a brilliant idea. Yes, I've heard about that. I mean, on a serious note, obviously a guy we were talking about age the other day, weren't we, actually? Because I'm not getting any younger myself. I'm younger than Michael Gove, but we're all heading in that same direction. And in this day and age, 2021, being in your 50s is not old. Actually, arguably, being in your 60s is not old, right? People are still out and about. And because of the way that society is, because unfortunately divorce really is a fact of life now. A lot of guys do get married, but then a lot of guys end up going through that process and coming out the other side and getting married. And you come out the other side at early 50s and, you're not really old. You've still got it in you. You've still got, and, I'm sure Michael Gove probably, he probably obviously likes a little bit of the old drum and bass music, probably back when he was at university, et cetera, et cetera. And, you don't lose that just because you hit your 50s. It's this old,
misconception that we all had as when we were younger, thinking, oh, you're 40, you're old, you're past it, you're over the hill, you're 50, but you're really not. And particularly in this day and age, when, as we always bang on about, travel is so possible and so easy, and going out and meeting people is so easy now, that really, if you are a person who's watching this and you're in your late 40s, you're in your 50s, maybe the relationship that you're in has come to an end, or maybe you're like me, you've sort of dodged that bullet, and you haven't been married. I'm in the minority. I think most guys of my age and older will have been married, but many of them are coming out the other side. The key thing to bear in mind here is that it doesn't mean it's over. You don't have to look at yourself and go, "Oh, I'm over the hill. The party's finished." It really, really isn't. But like you said, I'd probably avoid Aberdeen unless you happen to live there. But even then, I would travel to other places. And secondly, you want to try to do it in a fairly calibrated way. There's nothing wrong with dancing and having a good time. But if you're looking to meet girls, if you're looking to meet women and to develop relationships, what we're recommending is to do that stone cold sober, to not have to pick up a drink or anything else. And not to have to use dating apps, right? It's just basic social skills, so you could go out, talk to people, and form new relationships.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And one of the big questions we get asked is basically, is it too late? Is it too late, mate? To quote a friend we have in Warsaw.
Well, he's actually probably a similar age to Gove, isn't he?
And he actually looks quite similar, and they've probably got the same kind of dance moves. Like, you can imagine them having a similar sort of dance moves, couldn't you?
Can you imagine a dance-off between the two of them in a Warsaw nightclub?
That would be fantastic, is all I can say. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, but that's a good point, because our friend Mr. Forrest over in Warsaw, we filmed some content with him, which will hopefully come out in some shape or form soon. Very interesting guy, about the same age as Michael Gove, formerly a lawyer, very well put together guy, very intelligent, made some money, successful, had his own company and so on. And now he lives in Warsaw, and he does a bit of, cold approach, and dates very attractive women, significantly younger than him, and has a brilliant time. So I think the key thing really is, if you're a dude sitting there in Bolton or in Aberdeen with your dick in your hand and you're thinking, what do I do? What's the end game of all of this? Then there really is another way. And I think that's the key thing that I'm really keen to talk about going forward is the fact that there is another template for life. It's not just like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to have to move to Croydon now and get married and go down that conventional route. You really don't. There are other models that are made significantly easier by the technology and the availability of cheap travel. Yeah.
I mean, it's just a complete game changer, isn't it? I mean, we've all gone through this. We've all gone to these dodgy, growing up, going to Yates on a Friday night, Weatherspoons, Lloyd's bars in the UK. And myself and you, we've been traveling a bit now together, haven't we? The last 6 weeks in Russia, then we did smashed Helsinki together and going to rejoin forces shortly as well. But it's a completely different paradigm. We're literally living a completely different reality to what we used to live. And without going into specifics, I mean, you were kind of not mentally hanging up your condoms per se, but you were before I managed to drag your ass out to Russia, you were kind of like, oh no, the world's going to hell in a handcart, all this routine. Because what we find is actually when we're traveling, it's all this kind of rootless existence, and we crave a bit of stability. But the problem is when you've gone back to that stability aspect in, say, London, you start everything starts closing in, you develop a bit of a scarcity mindset. And as we've said before, London is not the kind of juicy apple it used to be for all this stuff. But then when I got you out to Moscow and we were charging around, I mean, now you've got potentially a situation where if you happen to fly back to Russia, you've got about 18 or 19 leads with very good looking women. And it's like, you would not touch that in the UK, would you? You wouldn't, none of us would be. It's nothing to do with you as a person. I wouldn't have anything remotely like that because the UK dating culture is a mess. Obviously, if you're going out to bars and clubs, you're going to have even less options than you would do if you were doing day game. But I mean, I think the two prevalent things for me are life is not over at 50. Get out of the UK because it sucks balls. for dating.
Yeah, I have to say, looking at that video, it didn't look particularly like a cornucopia of attractive women, did it? It looked like a bit of a sausage fest. To be honest.
I mean, and we've all been through that. I mean, it actually saddens me to think how many hours I wasted in said sausage fests over the years.
Yeah.
Just standing there with my pint, kind of looking around. Then, there's an occasional, girl who is in the minority in these places. So she's a massive premium asset. Everyone's chasing her around with their dicks in their hands, not getting anywhere near her.
Yeah, imagine if we'd have taken Michael Gove out to a Katerinburg though, to that nightclub.
That club, can you imagine? It was 80% stunners in this club.
And actually, genuinely, on serious note, he would probably have been successful in there, wouldn't he? Because older guy, wealthy, well put together, intelligent, British, establishment kind of dude. He would have genuinely have got some decent results there, I think.
I think so, and
with those moves as well.
It's just a world apart, and what annoys me about kind of this nihilism and this kind of, the world's going for dogs, and this place is shit for dating. It's like, get on a fucking plane, you lemon. Like, you do not. I don't think people really appreciate how lucky they are that they can fly anywhere within the world now with flexible cancellation, and be in a place where they do find the women attractive. Now, if you don't know where you should be going to, have a think about what type of look you like. If it's blonde hair, blue eyes, obviously recommend Helsinki, Stockholm, whatever. If it's more Latino vibes, get your ass on a plane to Colombia, Mexico. There's nothing stopping you apart from yourselves and your inabilities to just kind of break free of these shackles we create in our own brain as to why we can't do stuff. You've seen me and Troy waffling on for thousands of hours about this stuff from different locations, reporting back from the front lines. If that's not enough of a kick to do it, there's nothing. No one can really help you. I'm going to die a lonely life of existential angst. It's that simple.
And anyway, on that note, guys, yeah, you're right. You may as well just give it a crack, because why not, right? Life is very short. What about this quote here? So Halo says, you shouldn't cold approach if you're that much older, unless you look as young as Troy, or else you'll get in some trouble. Would you agree with that?
No, and I'd like to know how old Holo is, whether he's actually just kind of doing that standard thing of pretending he knows because he's actually that age, or whether he's a 20-year-old living in Essex, working as a DPD driver, pretending he knows about the outside world. It's not true. And again, this lad that we just worked with, who's 63, admittedly kept himself in good nick. He looks facially pretty good and he dresses well. But he's 63, right? And he's approaching 20-year-olds. Not once did any age question even get asked.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, really, he probably did the best out of it, objectively did the best on the boot camp. Not that it's a sort of like a league table, but, he was just out there. He was on dates pretty much the whole time, just getting loads and loads of attention. And he was the oldest guy there.
Oldest guy there and best dressed guy there, I'd say, as well. But also quite, he's got a certain charm to him. He's charismatic in his own way.
Oh, yeah.
But again, there's nothing. I mean, he'll be the first to say that there's nothing, he hasn't got like some superpower, like he's not a celebrity. There's no, I mean, he's good looking and he's well dressed and he's well spoken. He's got life experience. He has a good job. These are all factors that add up. But there's no like one standout thing, like he's a fucking superstar with 30 million followers on Instagram, or he's a well-known public figure, or he's incredibly good looking, or he's incredibly well dressed. There's no like standout, but he was just putting the reps in, smashing it. Literally and metaphorically, and having a great time over there, it's just again, the lucky thing for us about doing this job is we're naturally quite negative people who see the world going to the dogs. If we're left in splendid isolation, and seeing people like King Cole, seeing people like for various reasons, and then seeing people like Mr. R for other types of reasons, really brings home to us how easy it is to just think, my position's shit. I can't do this, that, and the other. And you see these guys, and you're like inspired by them. So we're very lucky that we get to work with these people.
Yeah, there's been so many inspiring people that we've met actually over the last couple of months. Those two being two of the key ones, I think. Like you say, both very different guys, and both actually getting really good results in their own right. And again, maybe it's a topic for another stream, but the idea that you have to be just one type of guy in order to be successful with the opposite sex is nonsense. A lot of people who come to the manosphere, to this kind of part of, these kind of streams, they have this idea that you've got to be the 2D alpha. You know, that there's only one type of guy, and you've got to be that guy. And if you're not that guy, then you're not going to get success. And that's really not the case, because we've seen guys very, very different to one another getting success. You know, if you think about someone like Mr. D from Miami, who was on, in fact, actually, he's been on your channel, hasn't he?
Yeah, we could just call him Daniel, the guy the South India guy living in Miami who watched the Bav stuff and then flew over and did a taster session.
Yeah, again, a very different kind of guy. You've got King Cole, you've got him, and then you've got Mr. R. All of them very different, all of them getting good success. So it just shows you've got to play to your strengths and play to your own archetype, rather than trying to think, oh, I've got to be like, you know, I've got to be like some dude that I've seen on YouTube or something. It's not the case.
No. What do you think? I mean, we've got one archetype is that kind of 2D alpha gorilla guy, you know, big beard, bald head, in the gym, sitting in his sauna, injecting tren. I mean, that's one.
Yes.
What were the? I mean, one archetype is that slightly kind of masculine, feminine, Russell Brand or Johnny Depp, where they're quite eloquent, well spoken. That's another one you can play to. Is there a kind of another standout one you'd say? Just kind of that bad boy, just an overall bit
degenerate
scumbag,
degenerate scumbag drug dealer. You could play to that if you want. But I mean, another one is the Mr. R one, isn't it? Which is depending on your age, you know, the older, slightly more sophisticated kind of guy. I mean, he was talking about taking girls to the opera, which is, you know, obviously what he's into. He's into classical music. He's into the opera. He's maybe even into a bit of ballet, right? And you know, and that's fine. You've got to play to your own strengths. And he was saying, actually, wasn't he? There's a problem with getting some of these girls to come to events like that. And we were saying, well, you know, if your world is strong enough, you'll draw women into your world. You know, you don't have to pretend to be into drum and bass. If actually really you like opera, you've got to draw women into what you're interested in. That's
I couldn't agree more. Frame. Yeah. That's a brilliant point. Fuck doing stuff that you think women are going to like. Do stuff you like, and if they want to buy into that, they will. And if they don't, find someone who actually will buy into your interest. It shouldn't be the other way around. You kowtowing and appeasing and doing stuff you think a girl will like to impress her. It's a terrible way to think. You think it would work, don't you? It sounds like it should be a thing because it's the silver rule, which is treat people as they wish to be treated. But unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. You know, women want to be led by a guy. They want to jump into that guy's reality. They want to see a guy enjoying his reality, and they will be a part of that fabric of reality. And they'll still do their own things, but you should do what you want to do. You know, if you want to go out shopping for sunglasses and jeans, do it, bring her along. If you want to go for cocktails, do it, bring her along. If you want to go and do a skydive, do it, bring her along. She doesn't have to come along. If she says, no, that's not my thing, it's fine. But you just carry on doing what you want to do. And I think a lot of guys, they lack interest. They live fucking boring lives of quiet desperation, don't they, and routine. They need to actually develop some interest outside of, doing a job that most of them don't like, sitting with their dicks in their hands on a Friday night with Netflix and a bottle of red, which there's nothing wrong with. But if you do that week in, week out, and until you die, I mean, it's just a slightly budget way to live, isn't it? I mean, I always harp on about this, but you're not going to die, touch wood, of some sort of horrendous disease. You're not going to die of starvation if you're watching this stuff, most likely. You basically are born and you're going to exist up until, you know, a relatively old age, probably. You have to fill your time with stuff. You can't just sit there waiting to expire. You can, but it's going to lead to, the more you do that and the more you don't just push yourself, challenge yourself in life and go after some stuff, figure out what you like in life and go after it, the more you're going to live, you know, you're going to have these sleepless nights of existential angst. It's the more kind of existential angst you have in those quiet moments, those dark nights of the soul, in my opinion, are the more reflective on how little you're actually living a reality true to yourself, and have you figured out what you really like in life. That concept of the boss is always watching. It's always there. We know what we resonate with in life. We know what we should be doing, not just approaching women, but actually in a job context, in a hobbies interest, in a where to live interest. And if we bullshit ourselves, slowly we crush ourselves from the inside out, and we're all guilty of it. But when you do it, when you push down your true desires for years and decades on end, then you have a mental breakdown or you kill yourself. So don't want to get too dark and gloomy about this shit, but have a real think, guys. You know deep down, if you just sit there with a pen and paper, guys watching this, the boss is always watching. You know yourself better than anyone else on planet Earth. You know what you really want in life. So map it, write it down, and go after it. There's a brilliant video Joe Rogan made on a channel called Fight Mediocrity, or the Fight Mediocrity guy made it about Joe Rogan. And Joe Rogan was recounting some of the best life advice he ever received, which was pretend that your life is a fucking superhero movie. And at the beginning of the movie, it fucking sucks balls. You're sitting there overweight, eating a pack of fucking Wotsits. He didn't say Wotsits, he's American. He doesn't know what those are. Eating a pack of chips, and it sucks balls at this moment. And then it goes into this actually what you want to fucking do in your life, right? It's your own fucking hero's movie. Because if you don't respect yourself enough to do that, no one else fucking will. You're never going to achieve shit in life, and you're never going to get those top tier women into your life.
Yeah, absolutely. Somebody is talking about, a couple of guys mentioned this, just Francis guy, and said he got there before you with the live approaching. We did see some of his stuff actually. He was doing it a slightly different way to us, but I mean, you know what? Props to him for giving it a go. I think that I don't know what you think, Tusk. I think the live streaming thing is going to become more prevalent if people have got the balls to do it, which most people don't. But it does seem to be a bit of a no-brainer now that more people in this space shouldn't be doing lives of going and interacting, because we've got the technology. It's absolutely doable. And if you're not doing it, then there is a slight question of like, well, why aren't you doing it? Is it because you want everything that you do to be edited? And if that's the case, why?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's why we kind of did it, to show guys that rejection is part of our strategy.
Yes.
And that we get rejected a lot, but we also get success. And I think probably the reason, again, I don't want to name names because I don't know, and I just think, slagging people off isn't a good way to be in general in life. But I would argue that if guys in this industry aren't doing it when they have the ability to, it's probably something to do with the fact they don't want to potentially risk getting rejected, which means, in my opinion, they don't really understand this anyway, and they shouldn't really be teaching it, because part of the course with cold approach is a lot of rejection. We're essentially playing a game of massive losses and getting a few wins here and there. And if guys don't understand that, especially if they're teaching it, then I'd say, well, don't watch them. In fact, don't watch us either. I'm so bored of people tuning in, and I appreciate the product. I'm so bored of people tuning in months on end, and then I go, come on, man, get out of the house. And they send me an email, and I'm like, get them on a phone call, and I'm like, well, they're like, oh, I'm a big fan. I'm like, great, but how many approaches have you actually done last year? And they're like, well, I'm just going to do this. It's just avoidance 101. And it really annoys me, because you have to take action with this stuff. You have to stop watching us chinwag and get out and do something about it.
Exactly. This is an interesting one. Do you think other countries will slowly end up becoming like the UK Western dating scene and end up in a mess? My quick answer to that is not in the immediate future. It's going to take a very long time, I think, for places like Russia and so on to become, if they ever do.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of that global warming thing of, we'll just push it down to the next generation, won't we? But in our lifetime, no chance.
So you're all right, lads. Don't worry about it.
Anyone watching this stream is okay.
Yeah, because we're all going to be in our 6 feet under before there's any change. I think in a lot of these places, who knows? But it's going to be a long time before you see significant change, particularly in Eastern Europe and Russia. Anyway, with that in mind, I've got to head off in a minute. But I mean, Tusk, if you want to carry on the stream, obviously you can, or if we just call it a day now. But I've got to go and see a man about a dog.
I won't. I'll just end with this quote from it's a brilliant movie for those of you who haven't watched it, by Al Pacino, starring Al Pacino on Any Given Sunday, about college football. But I'll just read a little paragraph out, which is pretty applicable. I don't know what to say, really. 3 days till the biggest battle of our professional lives in Warsaw. All comes down to that weekend. Either we heal as a team, or we're going to crumble inch by inch, play by play, till we're finished. We're in hell right now, gentlemen. Believe me. And we can stay here and get the shit kicked out of us, or we can fight our way back into the light. We will see you either in Warsaw next weekend or in Berlin. Send Mr. Francis an email. You have the email there. Get your
Troy at realtroyfrancis.com.
Get your dick out your hand. Get your party, get your glad rags on, Michael Gove style. Pack your condoms. You're going to be in for a wild ride. That's not an invitation to sauna with us, but hopefully into the boudoir of some nice Polish girls.
And if Michael Gove is watching this and you would like to come either to Warsaw next weekend or to Berlin the weekend after, then get in touch and we would love to have you.
We'd love to fly you out. I'd quite enjoy to drink a whiskey with you and reminisce about the good old days. And we've got a couple of older boys as well who I'm sure Mr. Mr. Forrest definitely would like to have a chat with.
Oh, those two would get on like a house on fire.
House on Fire be a new civil partnership.
So yeah, Michael, please come along. And anybody else, get in touch, troy@realtroyfrancis.com or email Tusk. And we will see you again very soon. Bye-bye.